Hi guys, I hope you're doing great today. Well, in our SSH authentication lecture, we encountered one of the most common errors while we connect with our VMs or EC2 instances using the SSH key pairs. And that error is server refused our key. So I promised in the lecture that I will address this issue in detail. So in that lecture, we discussed in detail that we can connect with our VMs in the cloud using SSH key pair. An SSH key pair consists of a public key and a private key. But sometimes we encounter one of the common errors, that is server refused our key while we try to connect with our VM. And what are the reasons of this error? Let's discuss in this quick tutorial. So one of the most common problems with your SSH keys can be that they are in wrong format. Either your private key or your public key is in the wrong format. So we have to double check and make sure that our keys are in the correct format. So the number one, format of the keys. And this usually happens when you generate keys from your Windows PuTTyGen and use those keys on Linux VM. So while exporting or generating SSH keys using PuTTyGen, PuTTyGen is a tool that is used to generate or create an SSH key pair. So it may happen that while you export those keys, they are exported in the wrong format. The key pair is highly sensitive data. It means that if anyone has the key pair, he or she can connect with your VM. Key pair is really a sensitive data, so it should not be exposed to anyone in the world. And therefore, we have to take care of the permissions and ownerships of those keys. The keys are located normally in the SSH folder, which is a hidden directory in which we have the keys. So we have to make sure that it is not written by other users except root or that specific user which is using those keys to connect with the VM. The recommended permissions for the SSH keys are 600. We can have multiple users on a single Linux server. And since the private key should identify a single user, and for example, if I am logged with user 1, this is my user 1. So the keys of user 1 should not be accessible to any other users on the same server. That is why we need to keep the permissions only read and write for that specific user only, which look like read, write, and nothing for other users, which is 600, and it is 600, which stands for read and write for this user one only, and no other permissions to other users or groups on the same server. It means that other users and groups on the same server should not have any kind of access to the key of user 1. I hope now that concept is clear. So if we use the full permissions like 755 instead of 600, so the SSH server can throw us the error that server refused our key. It is publicly open for everyone, which is not recommended at all. And we need to change the permissions of that key to 600 using chmod command. The third reason that I personally encountered can be the public key is not copied in authorized underscore keys file. Authorized underscore keys. You can open the .ssh folder and you will be able to find this file, authorized underscore keys. It contains the public keys of the users on that VM. All the public keys are copied in authorized underscore keys. So we are giving them authorization to access that specific VM. So if your public key is not available, not copied in authorized underscore keys, you may get server refused our key because the private and public key are not able to match, and that's why we may get this error. The last reason can be the ownership. In order to understand this, we are trying to log in via the user 1 and those keys have the ownerships of other than user 1. So that can be the reason your keys are not accepted. If you are trying to connect with the VM using the SSH keys of user 1, those keys should have the ownerships of that user 1, and these ownerships should like user 1, user 1. I will get this server refused our key error. I will get this server refused our key error if I am trying to log in with user 1, but the keys have the ownerships of user 2. So we have to change the ownerships to user 1 to fix this error. So guys, these are the most 4 common reasons we get server refused our key. So make sure you follow these steps to troubleshoot where your problem exists. And I hope that there could be one of these 4 reasons and you will have to fix them. Alright guys, now let's check our first use case. We can get the server refused our key error due to the format. So I have my SSH keys here. You can see that I have taken the copy or backup of my private key. It is the correct key, and now this key contains some errors and some format errors. So now I will try to connect with this key which has format errors. I will open putty and I will try to log into my VM and my user, which is DevOps Molvi. Oops, you can see that it says unable to load private key, file format error. This key has a format error. That's why we will not be able to connect with our VM. So it means that our key has been refused. So now I will try again with my backup key, and I will delete this and I will rename it. Now I will try to connect with my VM again. And you can see that the correct format key is not throwing us any errors. So whether your public key or your private key has any kind of format, some hashes, some words, some lines are missing in the keys, then you would be probably get this format error and our server will refuse our keys. Now let's check our second use case. I'm already in my VM cd SSH. Now I have authorized keys. I will open it. You can see that there is one public key pasted in this file. I will remove this control K. It removes and I will save. Now I will try to log in with my server again. I will open a duplicate session, DevOps Molvi, and tada, you can see that our key has been refused. So I got this error because there is no public key in the authorized key file. So now I will paste. Now this is the same public key on my VM, and I will paste the public key on my in my authorized key files, and I will save. Now I will try to log in again, open a duplicate session, DevOps Molvi, and my server has been authenticated. So you can see that if authorized key file does not have that public key, I mean, I am using the private and public key here. The private key, I have it on my local VM, and the public key should be in the authorized keys file. So you saw that when there was no key in authorized underscore keys file, we got this error. So I have replicated these two scenarios where you get the server refused our key. Now the third one is, now you can see that the DevOps Molvi user has the permissions of all these files, right? And that SSH, which is a hidden folder, you can see I used the ls-la command to see the hidden files, and now we can see that it is .ssh folder having the permissions of DevOps Molvi ownership, sorry, and now I will change it to some other user to replicate this error. So I have to go to sudo minus sudo. uh, I have this user created already, user 1. This is user, this is group. So now this is user actually, and this is group, and .ssh, sorry, I didn't use the chown, change ownership of this folder, and I have to give the password of DevOps Molvi. Now you can see that, sorry, ls-la, user 1 is the user and group is user 1 as well for our .ssh folder which contains the keys. Now .ssh, first of all, I'm getting this response because now the ownerships have been changed, so I will use sudo, and it is saying that cd is a shell built-in command. Sudo will not be used here. Now ls-la dot ssh, I just want, no, this command is not running as well. Okay, the ownerships and permissions have not been changed for the key files, but it has been changed for the .ssh folder. So you can expect that we are going to receive the same error again. DevOps Molvi and server refused our key. So you saw that now the .ssh folder has the permissions of user 1. Now you guys saw that .ssh folder has the ownership of user 1, but I'm trying to log in with DevOps Molvi. So that's why my keys have been refused. Now I will fix it by changing the ownership back to DevOps Molvi user. I think you are getting my point, right? Oh, sorry, I am using the wrong command. Chown, and now my ownerships have been changed back to DevOps Molvi, and I should not get this error of server refused our key again. DevOps Molvi, and I'm able to log in. So these are the scenarios. The third one is to change the permissions of all these files, and if I don't have the correct permissions, then I will get the server refused our key. Now let me change the permissions of all these files to 755 is also not recommended, and chmod 000 -r recursively dot ssh. I will use, sorry, I don't have the habit of using sudo much. And now you can see ls-la, it is completely gone out of permissions. Now I will try again to DevOps Molvi, and you can see that server is now again refusing our key. Now I will change the permissions back to 644, which is recommended, and I will be able to log into, oops, sorry, not Chmod and 644 SSH ls-la cd SSH, and it is saying that permission is denied. Okay, first of all, I have to change the permission of this directory, which should be this one. The directory should have at least these permissions. You can see I will have the same permissions that I had earlier on SSH. It is 700. Okay, so I will again 700. I will have the same permissions again. Chmod 700. Now I will try to DevOps Molvi, and again I am authenticated. So that is real-time troubleshooting, guys. You don't have to worry about it. That's how we troubleshoot our errors in our DevOps jobs, in our day-to-day tasks. So you can see that now I will enter into .ssh directory, and now these keys all have the full permission of the user. I will change them back to chmod 644 for all files. Now you can see we are good to go. Again, I will change them to 600. That is more recommended. Now our keys are good, and we should be able to log in as well. DevOps Molvi, and you can see we are able to log in. So guys, that's how we connect with our VM, and that's how we fix the permissions and ownerships error. We fixed all these 4 errors: permissions, ownerships, format, and authorized keys. So one of these errors may be causing the server refused our key error, and you're not able to log into your VM. So I hope that now this tutorial will help you, and that's how you can fix this most common error, and it will happen while you're running CI/CD pipelines as well, because when you try to deploy something on your deployment server, you definitely have to connect from your CI/CD self-hosted runner to the deployment server. The only way to connect with the CI/CD server is via SSH keys. So I hope now it will help to fix such errors whenever you encounter them. That was our first Linux tutorial, and I will try my best to bring more Linux tutorials with day-to-day fixes, with day-to-day issues and their troubleshooting. Please don't forget to subscribe my channel. I will see you in the next video.